weekend. Hey, besties and bosses, happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Thank you, first of all, for everyone who has been a part of the Business Bootcamp Challenge. I have loved doing this with you guys. I am so impressed with everyone who showed up, who participated, who played full out. You guys, seriously, some of your comments brought me to tears because I'm a sap that way, and it just makes me so excited to see just the progress some of you are making, and even for those of you who didn't play along, thanks for being in this group. I'm sure you saw the videos. So really just excited and proud of everyone and just seeing some of those shifts. So thank you sincerely for participating and for showing up and playing full out. What I wanted to do today was dig into some more topics because I realized as we were closing out the challenge, I feel like there were a few more things I wanted to share with you. So I wanted to dig into 3 things I think that all of us as solopreneurs, as creatives, as coaches need in order to create that version of success that we talked about. So I'm going to dig into that. I also really want to spend some time celebrating you. And this is also for those of you who weren't a part of the challenge. Celebration is so essential to creating that happiness, enjoying that journey along the way, and also for motivating us and setting us up for our future success. So I want to spend some time talking about the science, how that affects our brain, and we'll dig into some celebration at the end of this. And I also have a very special offer I'm announcing today that I am so excited. There's some time-sensitive bonuses set up with that, so I'm going to be sharing that as well. So that's what we have in store for us. If you're with me live, say hello if you'd like to. If you have any questions, reflections, thoughts. Actually, I just realized I need to move this screen a little bit so that way I can see Instagram and Facebook. So feel free to throw those down below. For those of you who stay with me till the end, I realize this is a Saturday. I appreciate you being here on a Saturday. I honor, respect your time, and I respect the fact that you care enough about your work to be here on a Saturday. So if you're with me till the end, I do have a gift I'm going to send you, which is a copy of my guide, which is all about celebrating our way to success. It has the tool I'm going to share with you in it, as well as some more information. So anyone who sticks with me, there's no strings attached. I will be giving that to you. But let's dive right in because I have a lot I want to dig into today, and I want to make sure we get through it all. So what we're going to be digging into again, and just checking over on Instagram, hey, I see some friendly faces. So what we're going to be digging into today is 3 things. It's more like 4 or 5 things, but we're going to try to condense it to 3. 3 things that I think are essential for all of us as solopreneurs, as creatives, as coaches, to have in place that we need to create that version of success that we defined for ourselves. So in the challenge, we talked about, we'll go through that real quick and do a recap for those of you who weren't with us and didn't join. We talked about how, and I see Jennifer, thanks for doing this, Kim. This course has been wonderful. Thank you for participating. I'm so happy to hear that because obviously my intention is to help everyone, and these are some of the things that have been so helpful for me, so I'm glad to hear that. So in the challenge, as a recap for those who didn't participate or didn't know about it, we started with talking about clarity. Clarity is what we need. It is so essential for everything we do. In business, in life, we have to have that clarity piece first. And in the challenge, we specifically talked about getting clarity around our business values and using those to define our version of success. Because what success looks like for me may be very different than what success looks like for you. We all have our own version of success, and it's essential that we know what that is moving into our business so that we aren't creating someone else's version of success, that we don't get stuck up in the shoulds, that we don't end up creating a bunch of stuff and end up hating it because it isn't aligned to what we want. Then we dug into our mindset, and we talked about how our mindset affects our success, how it can hold us back, or how it can move us forward. And we specifically dug into our identities, and we talked about how many of us have what we call an employee identity and how we need to step up and own a CEO identity, and that this isn't a hashtag type of thing, but this is a very serious thing. It's a mindset, how we perceive ourselves, how we're going to show up, what we're going to believe to step into that role as a successful entrepreneur, solopreneur, creative, artist, coach. So we really talked about embodying that. We talked about our identity and how our identity, we will on a subconscious level do everything in our power to have our outside world match our identity. So we dug into that on day 2. Gemma says, really enjoyed this week's course. Thank you, Kim. Gemma, thank you for participating. Thank you for being part of this group. I'm so happy to hear you enjoy that. It means the world to me, so thank you for saying that. Day 3, we dug into our zone of genius. And we talked about how we really want to get clear on our strengths, but not just any old strengths, our zone of genius, and how we want to narrow in instead of becoming generalists and using this to niche down and how important this is. Day 4, we talked about our ideal clients. We got clear on them and we got clear on who they are. We got clear on those psychographics instead of things like their hair color or what they eat for breakfast. Some of you guys also dug into that, and those are great things to know as well, but we really got deep into the psyche part of it so that we could really start to understand who they are. And then day 5, we created an offer. We figured out how to pull all of these pieces together so we could find that sweet spot so that we could create an offer that addresses our zone of genius, that serves our ideal clients, and that we can filter through our version of success so it actually is aligned and fulfills us. And we created an offer that is something that people have to have. To take all of this further, in order to do all of this and make this into something that becomes a sustainable and viable business, there are a few other pieces that I think are important. So the first thing I want to talk about today is that I want to encourage all of you to be an oak tree and not a weed. What do I mean by this? I'm going to dig into this more. This is some of the mindset piece, but I think let's first just think about what an oak tree is. An oak tree is something that is strong, it is sturdy, it has roots that go deep into the ground. It provides shade for those who stand under it. It can weather the storms, it can weather the test of time. It is going to just be there year after year. It is really hard to knock down an oak tree. Versus a weed, weeds are everywhere. Weeds pop up overnight. Weeds crowd out a garden. They're kind of annoying, but I can also yank a weed out, and as soon as I yank a weed out of the ground, another different weed is just going to pop up. So I want to encourage all of us with our work to aim for and have the goal of being that sturdy oak tree versus a fly-by-night weed that we can just yank out that's just annoying and more noise in the world. And I think part of this that's really important when we think about this oak tree is, and this is going to go to the mindset, and this is this first piece I want to share, is cultivating a grit and growth mindset and having a long view for our business. We live in a world that is, I'm sure some of you have heard me talk about this before because I'm obsessed with the word grit, and I'm going to dig into that piece, but we live in a world that is so instant gratification. There are so many quick fixes. There are so many promises out there that will tell us that you can get rich overnight if you do X, Y, and Z. And in some forms, it's great. I live in New York City. I can call up and have food delivered to me right now while I'm talking to you. I can go on Amazon. I can have something to me delivered tomorrow. There are so many things that are wonderful about this, but our version of success is not something we can microwave. We can't just hit a couple buttons and expect it to pop out the next day fully done. Creating our version of success takes some time, some thought, and some effort. Now, this is not in any way, shape, or form saying it has to be hard, it has to take forever, it needs to be difficult, but I do want all of us to think about having a long view for our businesses versus being that short-term weed that gets pulled out of it. Now, part of it is that grit and growth mindset. So what is grit? Grit is not dirt, it's not being edgy. It's a term in psychology that means, oh, I see a couple, sorry, real quick. Manisha says, loving this, Kim, had so much direction and focus, and I really appreciate that. So many insights, and I'm not even done yet. Manisha, thank you for being here live, and I'm so happy to hear that. That just makes my heart sing. You guys are gonna make me cry, because I care a lot. Okay, let's talk about grit, though, because otherwise I'm gonna lose my train of thought. So grit. Grit is a term in psychology, and it means the passion for a long-term goal matched with the perseverance and persistence to make it happen. And I think this definition is really important. I think knowing words and what they mean is essential. So if we break this down a little bit, the first piece is having the passion for a long-term goal. So there's that long-term part in there. That is that long view and having that passion for it. But I think that alone, that's why this is a two-part definition, isn't enough. A lot of us can have passion for a long-term view, that long-term goal. That's not that difficult. Most of us can daydream. Most of us can be really passionate about something. The second part of this is what I think makes this word really powerful, and that's having the perseverance and the persistence to make it happen. And that is what is so essential for all of us as solopreneurs. It's not just having that vision. It's not just having that long view or that long-term goal. It's also matching that with the persistence and the perseverance to make it happen. And that's where grit comes in. And it's so important that we put those pieces and we match them up together, because otherwise we are just daydreaming. And I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this. Many of you know I was an actress in LA for a while. You'd have people with these really big dreams come out there, but they wouldn't have the persistence or the perseverance to go along with it. And they would quit after their first audition when they didn't become a movie star, because they would think that that was a sign that they weren't any good. They would think that was a sign from the universe that they shouldn't do this. And I think most of us can see how ridiculous that is, but a lot of us are doing this. So I think this is very important to talk about. So I'm going to dig a little bit more into this. So part of this is having what's called a growth mindset. And a growth mindset, so you can have a fixed or a growth mindset. I think a lot of us think we have a growth mindset and subconsciously are acting from a fixed mindset. So a fixed mindset is the idea that our talents, that our strengths, that our IQs, whatever we have, that we're just born with it, and that we can't really change it that much, that whatever we have, that's what we're born with. A growth mindset, on the other hand, believes that our IQ, our talents, our strengths, that through challenge, that through practice and through very practical practice and intentional practice, through effort, we can grow, we can increase our IQ, our talent, and that we can grow. And this is the mindset we have to have if we want to create our version of success, if we want to be a successful solopreneur, entrepreneur, creative, coach, artist. We have to have this mindset. Now, I think a lot of us consciously know this. We know this is a concept. I think most of us are aware of that. But I think on a subconscious level, a lot of us, again, are operating from that fixed mindset. And this shows up with things like, I'm not good enough. I could never do that. I tried doing a live video once and I sucked at it. All of that is a fixed mindset. That is the mindset that believes I can't get any better. I can't take action and grow. I can't learn new things. And so many things as solopreneurs are things that you aren't born knowing. You have to learn. And I think it's so essential we start to become aware of that and catch ourselves when we're slipping into that fixed mindset, because that is one of the ways we will really hold ourselves back, really stay stuck, not move forward, and that a lot of us never get off sort of the jumping board. And I see this time and time again with clients, with people I know, and I say this with love. This isn't a judgment. I've been there too, but I see this where we will have, again, we'll do a live video or we'll put out a blog and not get that much attention to it. And 2 weeks into our business or 3 months in, we decide we suck and we're not cut out for this. And that is a fixed mindset versus the growth mindset that sees all of that as, okay, so this is where I'm at, but I know that I can learn. I know that I can grow. I know that with intentional strategic practice and challenge, I can get better. That mindset is the mindset that then moves and takes whatever information, whatever feedback we get from an experience, takes that, learns from it, grows, and moves forward. And this isn't just me talking ideas. It's something that's really backed by research. They've done studies that children who have a growth mindset, they perform better in school. This even affects our relationships. People who have a growth mindset have better relationships, which makes sense. In a relationship, there's skills there we have to learn as well. So I could go on and on and on about this. Grit happens to be one of my favorite words. Angela Duckworth has done a ton of work on this. She has a great TED Talk, a great book if you want to read more about this. I'm kind of obsessed with this topic, but I'm obsessed because I think it's so important, and I think it is one of the differentiators between the people who stay in their head and daydream and the people who create their versions of success. And again, it's having that long-term view and then being persistent and taking action. And this is something, if you take a look at the top entrepreneurs out there, if you take a look at the top performers, the top artists, the top athletes, they all have grit and they all have a growth mindset. I'm going to just throw out a couple examples. Well, first, think about your favorite artist. I challenge you to go onto IMDb, your favorite actor. Look them up and think about the movie show or the TV show that you know them from. Look at their IMDb and look back to how far it was from when they got their first credit on IMDb. Usually you'll see it's anywhere between 5 to 15 years. And then add a few years onto that, because it usually takes actors a few years to get their first IMDb credit. It is a great example of what grit and growth looks like, that most of the overnight successes we see are not overnight. So that's a great thing you can look up. I don't know if you knew this, Apple took 2 decades to become an overnight success. Microsoft, Bill Gates, pretty successful guy, 11 years. Marie Forleo, who I think a lot of us have taken her courses, look up to her, thinks she's wonderful. Her work, she very publicly shares, it took her 7 years. So just some examples there for you of what that grit and growth looks like and the realities behind those overnight successes we're seeing. Let me see some of these comments, and then I'm going to dig into the second idea here. Okay, got David says, hi Kim, sorry I joined late. No sorries here. I'm happy to have you here. No sorry necessary. Thank you for being here. Thanks for playing full out in the challenge. I appreciate you. Kate says, thank you, Kim, completely agree. There's a great post on growth fixed mindset on IG. I'll try to post it later. I love that, Kate. I would absolutely love that. I think it'd be great for everyone to see. And I think, again, this is something a lot of us consciously know, but our subconscious likes to trip us up and can do so sometimes. Kimball, oh, I don't know how to pronounce your name. You're going to have to tell me if I'm pronouncing your name properly. Is it Simple, Kimball? She says, hi, Kim. Hello. Thanks for being here. Bettina says, the video is cutting a lot. Am I the only one? Oh, no. Oh, technology. Man, me and technology sometimes do not get along. All right, let me know if it's cutting out more, you guys. And I don't know what I can do about that. My internet says it's showing strong, but let me know if it's cutting out. We'll see what we can do about that. All right, so let's dig into the second thing that I think is really essential for us as solopreneurs to create that version of success. And that is building up a group of people, an audience, and building relationships with them. And this is something, we talked about those ideal clients. We talked about creating that offer. And in order to have these offers, in order to generate that income and that revenue, which I have to say, if we want to be business owners, some of you guys don't like talking about money, or there can be some blocks around that. We have to generate revenue to have a sustainable business. And in order to do that, we have to have an audience. We have to have a group of people that we present our offers to. And in order for them to know us and want to buy from us, again, we're in business here, we have to build relationships with them. And this is really what marketing is. This is having a marketing plan and being strategic with it. But I know that as people who are heart-centered with their work, as artists, as creatives, a lot of us hear the word marketing and our backs go up. We think it's sleazy. We think it's not what we want to do. It's not why we got into this work. We got into this work because we love it and because we're passionate about it. And the thought of marketing, it's so, I don't know. I know when I started my business, the thought of marketing made me think about spreadsheets, and it made me think about stuff that I quite honestly thought I'd have no idea about, I wouldn't be able to do. And it made me think that's not why I became a coach. I didn't become a coach to be a marketer. And the truth is, marketing is so essential. I think at the beginning of our business, I'd say up to 80% of our time is going to be spent marketing. So I want to invite you, I want to invite all of us to reframe what marketing is and just talk a little bit about that. You see a couple other, Joy says it's, oh, hey, it's not cutting out, it's perfect. Okay, so, and I hear mine's fine over here. Okay, so I think we have okay internet. Bettina, it might be wherever you're at, but hopefully you'll be able to catch this. If not, maybe catching the replay. I'm sorry, your internet's not working though. But glad to hear that it's not cutting out. Okay, so talking about this a little bit more. So I'd love to offer a way for all of us to reframe this. I think instead of thinking about this as marketing and having a marketing plan and strategy, which is what it is, but thinking more about this as building authentic relationships and doing so with integrity, doing so with intention, and then taking the time to nurture those relationships, just like we would in real life. None of us in real life would expect to meet someone for 3 seconds and then have them be our BFF or have them be our partner. And yet sometimes in business, we think that if we just meet someone for a second and throw something in their face, we think that they should just know what we're all about and buy from us. So I think as a way to reframe this whole marketing aspect, it's really thinking about those relationships, building up those connections, building up those relationships one person at a time. And through that, starting to create an audience. You can call it a tribe if you want to, your people, whatever you want to call this. And this does not mean an audience as in you have to have hundreds and thousands of people. There are lots of people with a very small, tight-knit community who have wonderful, amazing, thriving businesses that go into the multiple 6 and 7 figures. So this isn't about speaking to all the people in all of the world and having an Instagram follower list of hundreds of thousands of people. It's about building those real relationships. And that, to me, is what marketing is really about. But it's so essential, and what I see a lot of us at the start, and this is something I found when I was acting, I was so resistant to this. I didn't want to do this, and it really held me back. And it wasn't until I realized part of being able to get work, whether it's as an actress or now as a coach, is being visible, is having people see you, is having people get to know what you're about. And it's so essential for all of us. And I definitely know, I just see another comment. Oh, thumbs up. Okay, yay for the thumbs up. So it's really, really, really so incredibly important. And the sooner we can start to shift our mindset again, it's that mindset, and embrace marketing, embrace that relationship building as something that really allows us to connect to other humans and to connect with them authentically and be able to provide some value, the sooner we can embrace that marketing, the sooner our businesses can grow, because it's going to be, I hate to use the word hard, but it's going to be a tough road ahead if we're just constantly resisting the marketing piece. If we are just constantly deciding that it's not for us and that's not why we got into this and we're going to do something different. Yes, it's something that some people can hire out, but I really think, at least at the start, it's something most of us have to do ourselves, because we need to have, most of you who are with me, we are people who are heart-centered. We are passionate about our work. It's really hard to hire out that passion to someone else. Yes, down the road, it's a lot easier to do when you have some pieces in place, but really I can't speak enough to how important this is. And I see a comment here. What helped me with marketing is understanding that what people need and what I do, and they want to know more. Yes, and people do want to know more. And I personally, and I see one more comment here, we market every day. Marketing isn't selling, it's sharing. You are sharing your ideas, your passion. Yes, 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 absolutely. So well said, that is exactly it. So marketing, that's such a great way to rephrase it. It isn't selling, it's sharing. So I personally, there's so many different ways to market. There are all sorts of different strategies. I do think we want to be intentional and have some strategy around it. Otherwise, we are just flinging stuff out in the world and just hoping it will work. So I think having some strategy behind our sharing is important, but there are many ways to do this. I personally come from the school of thought. Again, I've studied Marie Forleo's a mentor. I've taken quite a few courses, Melissa Cassera, Jennifer Kim, that all speak to creating content and sharing value. And that's what we were just hearing over here, sharing value as a way to market. And I think when we think of that, and we think of it as coming from a place of service, to me, that shifts the whole mindset around it. And I think that's a beautiful way to market. And again, there's many ways to do this. I do think it's important for us to think strategically and to have a plan in place that fits in with, again, that version of success that we identified for ourselves, with our strengths, that fits in with who our people are and what we're offering, so that, again, it isn't just crap we're throwing out there, crossing our fingers and hoping it will work. So yes, to some strategy, but I think we can also then put our heart and soul into it. Something I wanted to talk about on this that I think is important, because I know this has come up for some of my clients, is there are some gurus out in the world right now whose work I think is absolutely brilliant. They are great, but part of their marketing is the message that we don't need to market, that we don't need to have an email list, that we don't need to have a website, that we don't need to have a blog. And I'm not dissing their message. I happen to really like their work. But what I'm seeing with this message, with some people that I have worked with, is that it is making us think, it's making some of my clients think, it's making people think that we don't need to do this, that these people said so, and they have these great businesses, and that kind of just going to manifest and put it out into the world and see what the universe gives us. And again, there's more than one way to market. I would never diss someone's strategy. If that's working for you, amen. But if you're trying that method, I just ask, how is it working? Because I would say, if you take a look at those same gurus and you take a look at what they're doing and not saying, they are marketing. They are very clearly tapping into their ideal clients' needs, desires, wants, fears, and speaking directly to that. They have a website. They have a mailing list. They have a blog. All the things they're saying we don't need, they happen to have. So I would just invite you, if that is a message you have heard that maybe is causing you to have some resistance against sharing value and marketing, just to take a look at what the people who are sharing those messages are doing. They're creating an audience. So again, there's more than one ways to go about this, but I would invite you to take a look at that if that's you, because I know that I fell into that trap a little bit at the start, and have definitely heard this come up for people. So you have a couple more comments, then I'm going to move on. Exactly. It can be like a genuine conversation. Yes, it is a conversation. That is, thank you for saying that. Exactly. It's all about creating conversations and sharing some value and speaking to what people need and want and desire. Shaukya, hey Shaukya, says, the foundation sounds amazing. How soon can I sign up? I don't want to miss out on those bonuses. I will share that soon. I have a little bit more content I want to share first, and then I will dig into that. Thank you for asking. Okay, so I want to dig into the next thing I think that is really important for all of us as solopreneurs if we want to create that version of success. And this is that the idea that mindset alone isn't enough. So I'm a mindset business coach. I believe that our mindset is the foundation for everything we do, that it is what will hold us back, and it is also what will help propel us forward. But part of mindset, so we talked about this in the challenge, mindset is what directs those thoughts and beliefs we have. And those thoughts and beliefs influence the actions we do or don't take. Those actions we do or don't take influence our results. And it's a loop, and it goes right back around. So those results then influence our mindset. What you'll notice as you go around that circle is the action piece. So we've got the mindset that influences those thoughts and beliefs, and those thoughts and beliefs influences the actions we do or don't take. So what I think the other side of mindset that is so essential to creating our version of success is the action piece. As Tony Robbins says, we have to take massive action. But I think massive action is not enough. I don't think that this is about being busy or just doing a whole lot. I think a lot of us get stuck and tripped up in the busy work. And that is a form of self-sabotage because we feel really good digging and sinking our teeth into the doing versus getting really clear, that clarity piece we talked about, creating a personal plan for ourselves and taking consistent, strategic, intentional, aligned action. And I think this is so important. And then doing this over and over again and that's where the massive part comes from. I don't think just taking action on its own is enough. And I think this is so important for all of us to start to think about is getting our mindset in check, yes, and then taking a look at the action we're taking and really getting honest with ourselves when we complain at the end of the week that, oh my gosh, I've been so busy. Taking a look at what is that busy? What sort of action have we been very intentionally with a plan, with a strategy, been taking to move our business needle forward versus the busy work we're doing, the doing that we're doing, the time we're spending on activities that really don't move us forward. I think, again, as heart-centered entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and as creatives, I think one of the traps we can all fall into, and I will raise my hand on this, is getting caught up in the shiny object syndrome where there's all these ideas and we never really make progress because we don't have that intentional path we're going down with a plan. I think the other thing we can really get stuck on is, I think someone else coined this term, I don't know that I came up with this, but that creative cul-de-sac where we are just stuck in the ideation and the daydreaming creative part of it where we're not actually taking real action and moving forward. This looks like spending weeks thinking about the perfect shade of gray for that font, for that newsletter we're going to send out, or spending months just thinking of the perfect name or the perfect image that we're going to put up on the pamphlet that we're going to send out. And I'm saying this with a little bit of gist, but the truth is, you know, you've done this. I definitely have done this. And this is one of the quickest ways that we stay stuck and don't move forward. And then we tell ourselves that we're really busy and we've been doing so much and we feel busy. Sometimes we even feel burnt out and exhausted. And the truth is we've taken a lot of busy work. We've done a lot, but that's not the same as really intentional action that drives and moves our business forward. You see the comments here. So true. I recently read about the Loretto Rule. Yes, and that's the 80-20 rule. So that 20% of our actions are responsible for 80% of our results, and began to intentionally choose where to put my energy and which actions to take to make a bigger impact. So important. And I think it sounds overly simple. This is probably something a lot of us have heard before, but just because something is simple doesn't mean it's easy. And I think that clarity piece we talked about in day one of the challenge, that clarity piece that goes underneath everything, that's what we need when we sit down to create a plan for ourselves, an action plan that is, again, that has that strategy behind it, that is clear and intentional and aligned to that version of success we want. See, I see Jennifer says, how do you cultivate follow through? So many times I hear, this is so amazing, I love to sign up, and then nothing happens. When you say follow through, do you mean follow through with your action taking or follow through with a program? Just so you can clarify, so I'm going to put a pause button on that question, just so clarify that for me, please, if you don't mind, so I can answer that as the way you're asking. So I'm going to dig into this a little more. So it's kind of a bonus step 4. I think part of creating this plan of action, what as solopreneurs, as artists, as coaches, what we need to create this version of success is so that we can come up with that very strategic plan, so that we are taking action and we know that we're following through. What we need to do is to cultivate a group, a community, a support system. And this is different from our audience. This is different from those people we're selling to. These are the people who are our personal tribe, who are our personal support system. These are the people we are going to grow with. These are the people who are going to hold us accountable, not just to the action steps we make each week, but to that version of success, to our dreams. These are the people that we have in our life that help us to figure out what the heck we're doing, that help us figure out what that plan is. These are the very people who are going to lift us up, that whole rising tide mentality where we see one person create something, and that one person who is raising up, that raises the water, that raises the ships, that raises everyone up with them. These are the people who do that. It's Jim Rohn who has the quote, "We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with." These are those 5 people we spend the most time with. It can be more than 5, it can be a few less, but that we become the average of. And those are the people who help us figure out what are those action steps we want to take, so that we're not just taking misaligned action or we're not staying stuck in busy work. These are the people who call us out on our blind spots, who say, "Hey, you've been working on that font for about 3 months now. It's time to move forward." These are the people who support us. These are the people who help us when we get caught up in that fixed mindset we talked about at the beginning. Hold on, I see a comment here. "I mean, they're interested in what I offer, but never take the extra steps to follow through and sign up for my classes." She says, "No, follow through with my clientele." Okay, I think this is a great question. I'm going to finish this thought here, and then I'm going to address that, so I'm not forgetting that question. What was I talking about? Oh, yes. So I'm talking about having this group of people. I think this is so important, so important. This has been one of the pieces that has helped me probably the most. You know, there's that saying that it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I think that's half true, because I think we do have to know our shit. I think we do need to have our zone of genius and know this. But I think who we know is such a big piece to the puzzle. Who we know, it's not just who we know in the sense of like this, but having those that tight-knit group of people who we know, those people in my life have been the people who have supported me when I felt like calling it quits. But more than that, they're also the people who have helped me promote my business, who've helped me grow my business, who I've been able to cross-promote with, who I've been able to collaborate with, who I know has helped me find speaking engagements. They've helped refer clients to me. That group, that network, our personal network that we grow, it's so incredibly important. And this is something when I was acting, oh my gosh, did I resist this? Because I thought it was such a sleazy way, and I just thought it was going to be all about talent. And I was like, I'm not going to get something because of someone I know. I mean, oh my gosh, the attitude I had around this idea. And once I let that attitude go and I realized, again, it's what we were talking about earlier, building those relationships. And I started to realize it's just about building up that peer group, that group around me. I saw that that is what helped me. Those were the people that became my friends and helped me when I was crying because I hadn't gotten a part, or that helped rehearse a scene with me at 5 in the morning because I had a last minute audition. Those are the same people who helped me find an agent, helped me find a manager, and vouched for me. Those are the people who pointed me to resources I didn't know about. Those are the people who got me auditions when I shouldn't have been given permission to come in the door. Those are also some of the same people who got me auditions and booked me on roles that took me on movie sets and on commercials. And that was, yes, I had to bring my zone of genius. Yes, I had to bring my talent to the game, but part of what gave me that opportunity was that group of people I knew. And I think this is important for all of us to think about, and something we don't always talk about. And I think we get so wrapped up in building our business and doing the work and the strategy part of it all that we forget that there is this other element that is really important. And if you take a look at the top athletes, if you take a look at the top performers, if you take a look at the top entrepreneurs that you're paying attention to, they have this piece. They have a dream team. They have a group of people who are supporting them and who are helping them elevate. No one does this alone. Hear me on that. No one does this alone. I think this is an important thing for all of us to remember and to be open to receiving support and be open to receiving that help and that guidance, whether it's mentorship or that peer guidance. And like, I cannot speak enough to how important this is. I've been a part of masterminds, I've been a part of groups, and this is the part that has helped me probably the most. And so with that, that is, I told you guys I had an offer today. That is something I've been thinking about a lot, because I think as solopreneurs, as people who work alone, I mean, I'm here in my apartment alone today. A lot of the work we do is behind closed doors. If we're creatives and artists, we're working behind closed doors. A lot of us don't have an office we go to with a bunch of people built in who can be our buddies to bounce ideas off of, who can be those people we have as support. And I think it's something that's so essential, but a lot of us don't have, and it can be a bit of an isolating experience. I know there have been times where I felt like no one understood what I was doing. When I had something that was exciting that I wanted to share, no one got why it was important. And I have some amazing friends, but they didn't necessarily get it because they hadn't just spent however many hours working on landing pages and a challenge and all the things. So to them, it didn't really make sense. Or when I had a question because I was stuck on something, they didn't really get it. Or when my Facebook ads account got shut down, they weren't necessarily going to be able to help me and support me with that. And I think so many of us are in that boat. And so this is a brainchild of mine that I have been working on for the last few years, because I really wanted to create something that was called bringing all of this together, bringing in those strategy and those tools we're talking about, bringing in the community that brings in all of those pieces. And that is what I have to offer you today. I have created a program. This is going to be the first time I run it. This is the beta run, so I have some special offers for that. And this is called the Foundation Mastermind, and this is a mastermind group, a mastermind program that runs for 9 months, because I find for a lot of us, staying in the game, having that support, we're fine at the beginning. We're excited at the beginning. We're ready to go at the beginning, but it's as the months go on that we start to trip up, that we start to get stuck. So this is a 9-month program that creates an intimate, immersive experience. And part of this is a live mastermind group. So this is a group that meets twice a month, and each time you meet, you will have a hot seat. And a hot seat is when you're in a mastermind group. That means you have a chance to share and get feedback from the group. And I will be live on all of these. So some masterminds, the person running it isn't live. I will be live on all of these to provide coaching, to provide support, to provide feedback, along with your members who are in this group with you. This, I think, to me, this is the most valuable piece of this program. I think that's the part we need the most. But in addition to this, I think we need some of that strategy. We need some of that mindset work around it. So in addition to this, I'm having a playbook. So if you participate in the challenge, you saw what those were. Those are like a little teaser playbook. So it'll be a deep dive playbook that everyone will get each week. And this will dive into the mindset teachings as well as the business strategy pieces. And so these are topics from mindset, success, that area. We'll also be digging into going further with that ideal client stuff, so we can really get clear on that, how we're going to use that. Talking about marketing strategy, talking about content, talking about digital marketing, talking about ways to price and position our offers, talking about launching, because there is a whole bunch that goes into just launching our work, talking about opt-ins, talking about how to optimize our website. So many pieces there. So these are just some of the topics we'll be digging into in those worksheets. I'm also going to have a monthly live clarity call that will also be sent to you if you can't be there live, but where we will set up our clarity for the month and also dig deeper into some of those topics so you can really sink your teeth into them. It's going to be a private Facebook group just for the members of your mastermind, so that you can have that support in between those live calls that I will be present on. So you will get access to me throughout the week. I'm sure some of you guys can see I'm pretty active and I'm pretty present. So I will be there to answer questions, to support you, to have my eyes on your work. Be a weekly Q&A within that group. So all your burning questions, whatever you're stuck on, I'll be there to answer those questions. And then we will also have weekly goal setting and accountability. So it's all encapsulated there. This is basically everything I wish I had had at the start of my business and didn't have, all put into a program together, because I think for us to create a business that's sustainable, for us to create that version of success we want, we have to create a solid foundation first. If you take a look, I live in New York City, I see those amazing tall buildings that go up into the sky. The taller that building is, the deeper a foundation has to go underground to support it. And so this program, I've designed it to help you create a solid, sturdy, deep, strong foundation so that you can have that foundation to grow your business on top of. Because what a lot of people do is they just start building and they build on top of a really weak foundation, and then everything goes like this. And that's not what I want. I think it is So important that we have our business foundation in place if we want to have that long-term view we talked about at the beginning, if we want to create our version of success. Let's see, I have a few comments and then I'm gonna move on. I'll quickly talk about this and then I wanna dig into celebration, how that affects our brain. Let's see, we have, I feel like I'm presenting my authentic self and I'm providing an experience people are interested in and find beneficial, but I probably get 90% interest and only 10% results. Okay, I'm gonna dig into that question. Yes, absolutely, Jennifer. I'm gonna dig into that after this in 1 second. Thank you for sharing that question. It is such a good question. So for the mastermind, for those of you who are interested, for those of you who wanna take all of this 10 steps further, for those of you who would like my support as well as the support of your peers to build that community, for those of you who would like to have somewhere that you can bring your questions, where you can learn the strategy, where you can create a plan that works for you and your business, I would love to invite you into the Foundation Mastermind. This is my brainchild. I'm so excited about this. I'm so fired up. I cannot wait to start this. So we are starting March 5th, which means registration, early bird registration is now open. I have a VIP option for 5 people if they would like to also have the additional one-on-one support with me. You'll get a bonus 60-minute private coaching call every month, and that membership is $349 a month. And then I also have the membership for anyone else. You get everything I just mentioned, all of that support for $199 a month. Because this is the beta round of it, and because I remember what it was like when I started my business and just trying to scrape together the pennies to join a program, and I wasn't able to join masterminds that were just tens of thousands of dollars, I wanted to make this round really accessible and really affordable for those of you who do want the support, which is why I'm pricing it this way. This is the only time I'm offering this program until next year. So after this week, you're not going to hear any more about this. I will not be offering this again until next year. And outside of my private coaching, which I only have 2 spots available right now, outside of that, it's the only way to work with me. So you by no means have to work with me, but if this is something that you feel you want to dig into deeper and you want that support, this is going to be the most affordable way, and this is going to be the only way until next year to do so. I do have a few bonuses, jam on those, and then we're going to dig into celebration, answering those questions. So I have a few bonuses. The first 4 people who say yes, because I think taking action, being decisive in our business, committing is something I value and something I respect. Those first 4 people who say yes and sign up, I'm gifting you a bonus 60-minute one-on-one coaching call with me. You can use it anytime in our 9 months together. So if you want it at the beginning for the clarity, if you want to have it down the road so you can dig into your launch plan, you will have that on the books. You can use that anytime. For everyone who joins and signs up by Monday night at midnight, that's the 26th, I'm giving you access, a free copy to my course, Get Unstuck, Unlock Your Success. This is a self-study course all around mindset. We dig into mindset really deep and we talk about some of the common mindset blocks I see with myself and my clients. It's a great course. It's $99 on my website. You get it free if you sign up and join by Monday. And for everyone who joins, the cart closes, this program, registration closes on Friday, March 2nd. For everyone who joins, I have a bonus masterclass for you. It is my Mindset Practices Masterclass. It's about 35 minutes. These are the exact mindset practices I have and do, some of the science behind it, because I love and geek out on that stuff, that I practice every day for my business. This is the stuff that part of my morning ritual, part of my secret. So that's a free bonus for everyone who joins. So again, the fast action bonuses go away Monday night and the doors close for this on Friday. So if you'd like my support, if you want to hang out, if you want to dig into this so much deeper, I would love, 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 love to have you. I'm really excited about this. I'm going to be in there 145% over the next 9 months, and I'm really excited to have those of you who want to go on that journey with me. So there's a link for you all for that. You can find more about that over on my website. It's the Foundation Mastermind. Now, I want to dig into those questions. I also want to dig into the celebration. So let's go celebration, and then I'll do Q&A and answer those questions at the end. So wanted to close with celebration because celebration is so important, and it's something a lot of us skip over. It is something I skipped over when I started my business. It is something I learned about in my coach training program, and I quite honestly thought it was a waste of time and that I didn't need to do it and that I was busy, quite honestly. And I thought I was a little bit, I don't know, fluffy. And so I didn't celebrate. I didn't celebrate my wins. I didn't celebrate any of the actions I was taking. And turns out celebration is more than something that just makes us feel good. It's more than something that's just fun to talk about. It's really essential for our happiness and our long-term success. So let's talk a little bit about what celebration does for us, and I will share a tool for celebration. Everyone who's with me live, who's interested in this, if you want to leave your email address, if you want to direct message me or PM me so that the whole world can't see your email address, I'm going to send you a bonus guide with all this information. It goes a little deeper with my celebration tool, and I also have an audio that I'm going to send you. It's a gift. We're going old school on sending this to you. So just send me your email address. Let me know that you heard this and you're there at the end. And that's my thank you for sticking with me, for being here on a Saturday and hanging out been on for almost an hour. So when we celebrate, and this is why it is so important that we celebrate along the way and that we celebrate not just our big wins, but our small wins. About 3 things that happen here. We'll go into this quickly so we can get into celebrating. Celebration is a form of gratitude. So I'm sure most of us have heard about gratitude, #gratitude, attitude of gratitude. And I think it's almost become a pop psychology term, but the truth is gratitude is one of the most proven ways that we can boost our happiness. This has been shown in study after study. Turns out celebration is a form of gratitude. So when we celebrate our wins, we are practicing gratitude, and we are thereby starting to rewire our brain. Our brain has what's called a negativity bias, so it pays attention to negative events more than positive ones. We start to lay down new tracks in our brain that start to shift it and pay attention more to those positive events than negative events, which boosts our happiness, but also can help boost our success because we start to pay attention to different opportunities. Another thing that happens when we celebrate is we do what is called savoring. And savoring is just a fancy term in psychology. It's just a fancy way of saying to stop and smell the roses, to really enjoy life. It is how we enjoy the journey that we all hear about along the road. When we celebrate, we are savoring. We are taking time to stop, to be present, to enjoy the moment, to enjoy what we've just done. And this is so important for us. Again, going back to the beginning, we're talking about having that long-term view, that grit, that growth mentality. Part of cultivating that grit and staying in the game for the long run is taking time to celebrate and savor those moments. So we're enjoying those small wins so that we're actually enjoying what we're doing, because that's why we all became entrepreneurs and creatives and coaches, because we love this work. So we enjoy the journey along the way. The other part that I find fascinating, because I'm obsessed with how the brain works, is that when we celebrate, we activate the reward centers in our brain. And so real quick, what happens when we do that is we release dopamine. And dopamine is the neurotransmitter that is responsible for motivation, and it's responsible for addiction. So when people get hooked on cocaine, when people get hooked on gambling, social media, all of that is because they have opened up the reward center of their brain. They've released dopamine. And dopamine, it does 2 things. It makes us feel really good. It gives us that like surge of feel good, awesome feelings. And it causes us to want to take action on whatever caused that feeling in the first place. So when we celebrate, we release that surge of dopamine, we feel good, and we want to take action on whatever caused that feeling in the first place. And this is amazing when we are celebrating our wins in our business, when we're celebrating our small wins, because we are essentially setting up and training our brain, rewiring our brain to get addicted to that action we're taking, to get addicted to that success. So I could go on and on about this, but I'm going to cap it at that and just say this is why it's so essential that we all start to celebrate our wins, that it's not just so that we feel good. It really is essential to our long-term happiness and to our overall success. So I want to encourage all of you who participated in the challenge and everyone who's just here to think about, what do you have to celebrate from this last week? What did you do that is worthy of celebration? And to think about that for a moment. While you do that, I'm just going to check some of these comments. I've got some nice balloons. I appreciate those emoticons. David says, thanks, Kim. My phone battery is dying, but I'll message you with my email. Awesome, awesome. Good Saturday, Kimberly. Thank you. Awesome, awesome. So think about those things you have to celebrate. Then I'd invite you to think about what you had to do to make this happen. What did you have to do to make those things you're celebrating happen? What actions did you take? Because again, we want to reinforce those actions. We want to get that dopamine going so that we get hooked and reinforce those actions. So what actions did you take to make that happen? Get clear on those for yourself. And I'm going to go through this so I don't keep you guys too long. And from that, I really want you to think about, why is this something that's important to celebrate? Why is this important? Why do we even care that we've done this? I think that's another important piece to tap into our brain. So we start digging in there and start to rewire our brain. And that is something I want to encourage all of you to do. I'll send those of you who are here the full celebration guide. It has a few more questions and prompts to dig into that celebration. That's something I want to encourage all of you to do who participated in the challenge and played full out, because I celebrate you. I celebrate the action you took. You played full out. I celebrate you showing up and committing to yourself, committing to a standard for your business, to committing to growth. But I also want to celebrate all of you for being here on a Saturday, for caring enough about your growth and your business, for being here. I have a feeling you've all taken a whole lot of other action in celebration. So I want to encourage all of you to dig into those questions, to spend some time celebrating from an intentional space so that you can dip into how that works on a neurological level, so that we're setting ourselves up for that happiness and success. That is how I want to celebrate you today. So I'm celebrating you. I cannot tell you how impressed and proud I am of all of you, especially those of you who played full out. Some of the comments and responses you had were incredible. You guys kicked ass. So I am celebrating you. I want to encourage you to celebrate you, not just today, not just on this call, but moving forward, all those small wins in your business. So that's my celebration talk. Do it, please. I'm going to answer this question Jennifer had. So Jennifer said, she feels like she's presenting her authentic self and providing an experience people are interested in and find beneficial, but she probably gets 90% interest and only 10% results. Okay, Jennifer, so it's a big question. So Jennifer's asking about what happens when we're putting stuff out there, we're not getting the accountability or the follow through from people. This is a big question, so I'm going to answer it briefly here. We can definitely dig into this more, and this is something I'm going to dig into in the mastermind as well. But first, I just want to share with you, so statistically speaking, and yes, we can all beat statistics. This is not to put a cap on what any of us can do, but statistically speaking, when we put out offers, the average conversion rate is, if you take a look at the people who are on your list who are opting into whatever way you're marketing or promoting, it's anywhere between 1% and 5% usually. If you really have those strong relationships with people, it can be a higher percentage. But a lot of times, I don't know what kind of offer you're talking about, but if you're presenting things out there, this is for the huge people with hundreds and thousands of followers down to everyone else. That is just normal statistically. So if you're getting 10% results, that's actually a really high percentage. So I would say first look at that and think you might actually be doing quite a lot right, and that is great. What it might be is that you just haven't created enough visibility and enough of an audience yet, because it takes time to grow that, so that you can have enough of an audience to get that 10% up to the number of people you want to serve, depending on what your offering is or depending on what your business is. So that's where some of that building the audience and some of that marketing we were talking about at the beginning of the call comes in. So I do want to say that looking at those numbers, that's actually a pretty high percentage. And just to paint a realistic picture as to what's going on so you don't feel completely discouraged, I think then sometimes it can also come into the way, I don't know exactly what you're presenting. So authentic self is absolutely, yes, kudos to you. We want to have integrity. We want to present ourselves with authenticity. It might also be, if you feel that the number should be higher, sometimes it can just be a little bit in the way we're presenting ourselves. So we do want to be authentic, but we do want to have some strategy and a plan behind it. So sometimes, I don't know your exact situation. Jennifer says, yes, and I'm just starting out, so that makes sense. Thank you so much for the respect. Okay, good. So then I won't go into all of this, but just for everyone who's listening, just go on with that train of thought. Sometimes it's also in how we're presenting ourselves and just some of that strategy underneath it. So sometimes with an offering, especially at the start, there can be a tendency to just make an offer and throw it out. And then we wonder why people aren't interested in it. And I think having a bit of a plan and strategy behind how we are presenting something, how we're going to launch it, and this can be from everything to an opt-in, to a free offer, to a paid offer, having some intention and work behind the scenes that goes up and leads into that can be part of the puzzle as well. So know that we are going to have better results when we take the time to create that plan that goes behind our offer and we put it out into the world, versus just like, hey, I've got this thing, come buy my stuff, because then people haven't had the time to get nurtured and to know what's going on behind. Does that make sense, Jennifer? Let me know if you have any other questions around that. And if anyone else has any questions that they want to throw me from the challenge, if they have any questions, just what we've been talking about today, throw them at me or about the program. And if not, I'm going to hop off in a minute and I'm actually going to pack because I am going to San Diego tomorrow for a digital media conference, and I'm going to learn a whole bunch of stuff that I can hopefully take back here and share with all of you. So I'm very excited about that. But I gotta pack. I haven't started packing yet. So let's see. I see a couple other friendly faces on Instagram. Thanks for hanging out. I know you guys weren't participating in the challenge, but it's been really fun to have you and see some of those comments. So thank you for being here. And let's see. Jennifer says, it makes so much sense. Thank you. Good. Ooh, typos. Hey, I have typos all the time. I have an autocorrect problem that sends words out to my guy all the time. I'm like, what? This is not what I'm saying. Thanks, Kim. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for the question. I think it's a great question. I think it's something probably a lot of us need to hear and just be reminded of, that doesn't mean we're doing anything wrong. Sometimes it's just the way the numbers are stacking up. So keep the grit and the growth mindset and building that audience and having that marketing plan. So any other questions? If not, I'm going to say I'm celebrating you all. I'm so grateful for having you here. For those of you who participated in the challenge, thank you. You made my heart so happy. I am just wishing you all such a wonderful weekend. Thank you for taking time out on a Saturday to hang with me. I know these are our weekends and your time is precious. So I hope this was valuable for you. I hope you got some good insights from this and that it was worth giving up some time on a Saturday for. Thank you again for being here. I hope if you're interested and you want to take all this step further, again, just a reminder that Foundation Mastermind is open. I would love, love, love to have you and to support you further. And just have a wonderful, beautiful weekend. I'm wishing you your version of success. Bye, y'all. All right, we're going to end here. And I'm going to end here.